is the very first show of the year, as you can see from our logo just here. It's under Going Live Events. This is my regular show, which I am hosting, talking about all things to do with video technology, everything that we use to make our shows and to make shows for many other clients that we have throughout the world, actually. What I'm going to be talking about today is technology, not so much the organising of events. We'll do that in other shows. And if you look out for Louise's Going Live event shows, then she talks much more about the planning, the organisation, speaker selection, organising, and making sure that all of those things go smoothly in events. I'm more focused, if you like, pardon the pun, on the technology side of things. So what I'm going to be doing today is kind of giving a preview to the shows that are going to be coming up in the coming weeks. So this is the overture, if you like. You know, in an opera at the very beginning, where you have an overture that gives you a little bit of the content of the rest of the show. What I'm going to be doing here is, if you like, teasing the content that I'm going to be talking about in much more detail as we go through the next few weeks and months. So, as I say, what I want to do today is to talk about the technology that we use, whether it be Crowdcast, the platform that we're on right now, some of the tools that we use to give some of the effects that we have, whether it be things like this, having logos on screen, being able to do a number of other things that make your events just come alive and make them more professional, make them seem a little bit slicker than they might otherwise be. We know that in all events, the content is absolutely king, but we also know that a great speaker with terrific content, great presentations, in an otherwise lackluster event where there's nothing else going on, the content can be let down by the tech. So what we want to do is make sure that your tech is up to speed with the level of professionalism that you want to put out, whether you're on Crowdcast or Zoom or Teams or any other video conferencing calls, or if you're using technology to record yourself to put content out there. So as I say, what I'm going to be talking about today is some of the technology that I use in particular to try and make my shows that bit better. Now, I would hope that the tech on my shows worked well, but whether the content is as good as the tech, that's up to you to decide. So first of all, can I thank everyone who's joined us today? It's afternoon here in Glasgow. In fact, I'm going to show you. I've got a camera pointing out of the window so you can see. In fact, because it's getting a bit darker, you can see the reflection of me in the window there. But that's outside on the bridge in Glasgow, and that's an example of using multiple cameras in an event. So when you have more than one webcam, it often happens. Surprising, it might be surprising to some of you, but in the same way as when you get a new phone, you have an old phone, what you're going to do with it. Same thing with a webcam. If you upgrade your webcam, then your old webcam can be used as an additional camera for something that would supplement the main camera that you're working on. So to get things started, what I want to say is anyone who has any questions, I can see we've got Debbie, we've got Louise, we have, I think we've got about 88 people registered altogether. GTS Educational, Halftime Institute, Jerry at Global Health, Digital Science, Sue Foy, Ruben, everyone else who's joined us. Any questions that you have, please put them in the sidebar there or in the Ask a Question section at the bottom of the screen. I hope I'm pointing to it right now. Is it over here? So please chip in there. Anything at all that I can answer, then I'm more than happy to. But as I say, what I'm going to do today is not so much teach you how to use these things. I'll be doing that in more shows coming up. But what I'm going to do is a quick run through of some of the technology that I use. So I was pointing to cameras just there. The camera that I'm using right now, that I'm looking straight into, is a Logitech Brio. The Logitech Brios are, for webcams, a bit on the expensive side. About £200 is the going rate. In the past year, given that so many people are now working from home, the cost of webcams has gone through the roof. I have a really cheap webcam that I have, in fact, I'm still using it from a few generations ago, and I think I bought it 6 or 7 years ago. To buy that now is about £100, and I bought it for £45 7 years ago. So the exact same webcam. In fact, that webcam, I'll show you here. That webcam I've got pointing at my desk here. So you can see my notes here. So when you use additional cameras, such as the one pointing outside or the one pointing at me here, or the one pointing at my desk, then you can change up the flavor of your content. I'm using this one, obviously point at me. The one that's pointing out the window is actually, it's attached to my teleprompter. I have a little teleprompter where I can put a mobile phone. And whilst I'm not using it, I point it out the window. And the other one is attached to my microphone here. This is the webcam, and this is a microphone, just in case you didn't know what a microphone looked like. But the reason that I have that is just to give that different flavor to what I'm doing. So in terms of putting your kit together, the sort of technology that you'll have, a lot of people initially will rely on the camera and the microphone built into the laptop. And those, generally speaking, if you've bought your laptop in the last year or two, then the quality of those will be very good indeed. The quality, however, steps up considerably if you add on some decent earphones. Earphones help to keep out any echo that's going on and make sure that you can hear exactly what's being said if you're in a conversation with other people online. It also makes sure that your microphone is not picking up the audio from your speakers and making a sound loop, which is that echo that everyone hears, which is always very annoying. So having good headphones, good microphone. Let's talk a little bit about the microphone that I have here. This is a Samsung USB microphone. It's on a boom arm. And because it's above my head, it doesn't take up desk space. So when it's above there with this little camera attached to it, then it's right above, and I put it just out of camera shot. So it's going to pick me up nice and clearly. And if I had to walk around the room, because it's on a boom arm, I can move that around if I want to. Other things that you'll be getting the benefit of but not seeing right now will be the lights that I have. So this light here, if I turn this off, you can see what it looks like. If I turn this one off over here, you can see it dims it down again. I've got a lamp over there, but other than that, all that's going on is my HypnoCube in the background and this Tetris light behind me. So if I put these lights back on, you can see that the difference that they make to what you're seeing on screen. And what I've done also is that there's a lamp over there. If I had that lamp on, then I would be more washed out, but by leaving the background a little bit darker, then I tend to stand out just that little bit more. Again, as I was saying before, any questions that we have as we go along, then please let me know. So what I'm going to talk about first of all is hardware. So we spoke about cameras, we spoke about microphones, we've spoken about lighting. When you're using your laptop and you're on the move, then often it's the case you can't carry around anything that's too bulky. So if you want to have items in your bag so that you can be either getting onto shows or making shows yourself while you're on the move, then having elements in your bag or tools in your bag that don't take up much space, aren't too expensive. If you lose them, if you break them, then it's not going to break the bank. But it makes all the difference when you're going online for a show or for a meeting or any number of things. So whilst I have things set up here, well for me here, many of these things I could pack away and move. The light here, for example, is about the size of a large wallet, if you like, and the little ring light here is pretty tiny as well. So all of these things that I use, they're all relatively small. They're relatively expensive, other than this camera that I'm looking at just now, which, as I say, was a bit on the expensive side. I am known for being a bit tight with cash. I'm not a Scotsman for nothing, you know. And what I always look for is bargains in anything that I'm buying to get the very best value, to get products that I can use and use easily, and obviously to find the best deal that's on the go. To that end, at the end of the show, I'll be putting some links. In fact, I'll put the links in the sidebar just now, but I'll show you them when we get to the end of the show, to some of the lists that I've made on Amazon of some of the tech that I use. In fact, let me just copy that link right now. So if I go to here, I last year built a new PC, and here is the tech spec for the components to do that, and that was particularly with having in mind the sort of PC that you would want to have for making video shows. This list here is a list to the light video kit that you might take when you're mobile, when you're out and about. And this next list here, we just copy this. This is for content and tech that you might want to use in your desk, so suitable for desktop use. There's going to be a little bit more bulky, but I hope more on the usable side. I can see now, actually, just looking at that screen, the price of the Logitech Brio that I'm looking at just now, it's gone up to £265. As I say, the supply and demand of webcams is kind of crazy right now. So maybe I got a bargain when I bought it for £200. This time last year, the same webcam was, I think, about £150 you could get it for. So watch out when you're looking at the prices. So before I go on to software, let me just show you a couple of other elements of hardware that I have here. And again, what I'm going to be doing in coming shows is showing you more of these toys, if you like, or gadgets that can be used. I'll show you in more detail how they can be used in creating video shows that are going to be suitable for your purposes. You won't want to use all of them, but some of them might give you ideas for the type of shows that you can be doing. So if I just switch my camera to here, you see my hands on the desk here. We were mentioning lighting before. This little light here, again, you'll see this in the list that I have online. If I switch this on, it's turned down to the lowest brightness, but when it looks at the camera, it's pretty dazzling. But when that turns up, that would floodlight an entire room. I have another one over here, actually. This little thing, if I put this on, you can't see the light itself, but you can see it reflecting off of my hands. And you can see that when we go through the different colors, so that's great for lighting up, say, the background behind you that you might be wanting to floodlight a room. I'll just turn that off. And again, these were, what, £10, £20 each? Many people ask about my tiny head. Yes, my head is tiny in this, Louise, thank you very much. Many people ask about using the mobile phone, using the camera on the mobile phone. And I'll get onto that in a second, but if you were using your mobile phone and wanted to have it on a stand, then these things, for a couple of pounds ago, you can stick your camera to the window, which is really handy to do. Or even these sticky strips are pennies to buy on Amazon. One of the best ways of mounting your mobile phone is stick this to the phone, stick the whole thing to the window. You've got natural light, and you look your best. So these things are extremely cheap. Or you might want to have a little tripod. So a little tiny tripod, packs up small. You can put your mobile phone in there, and really easy to pack in your bag if you're going out and about. One other thing that I use when I'm out and about, and people knocked them years ago, but if you've got a good selfie stick with a Bluetooth connection, then being able to use that, and actually the ones with the little tripods on the bottom are probably better for your purpose here, but having this kind of thing is actually a godsend, especially with the little tripods on the bottom. Before I go on from this side of things, I'm just going to mention on the sound thing, we were talking about microphones before. When I'm out and about, or if I want to walk around the office, I'll use these. These are, these two elements are part of the Rode wireless mic setup. And by, if I press the right button, and by connecting these to my phone and to either a lavalier mic or use the little microphone under the fuzzy header on here, I'll just take that off there, the little microphone on there, then you can see that wirelessly I can be walking around the room and connecting in really high quality to my recording device. So again, on the microphone side of things, the audio side of things, it's really important to try and make sure that you have the kit that you need that's not going to be too expensive. Actually, while I'm doing that, someone mentioned to me earlier on, Louise mentioned to me earlier on, oh, I can see your watch there. If I do this with my watch, then you can see whatever my phone is looking at. I can use it as an additional camera. Oh, trying to get that under there. You can see me moving around the room. Just another little use for one of the Apple Watches. But let me just go back to here. So as I say, we looked at some of the tech, cameras, mics, lighting. There's one other element on the lighting side I'm going to show you just here. If I switch to here, I'm just going to put this on here. If you bear with me a second. I'm going to connect my mobile phone. And this is where it's really handy to have a spare mobile phone. So this spare mobile phone allows me to share this on screen while my main mobile phone is over there. So on the spare mobile phone, what I'm going to show you here is a controller for lighting that I have in the room, an additional light. So if I switch this on just by pressing the button down here, you see the lighting on me changing here. Just put my mic up a little bit. So with this, I can remotely control the colors on this light above my head. I'm just, the dot in the middle, I'm just moving that around. Or I could set that to different color patterns that are playing as if I'm in a nightclub. Now, I'll just put that back to 0 there. One other thing that I could show you while I'm doing this, and this is great for training. If I was training someone on using a smartphone app, then the ability to use, and I'm using Manycam to share this here, the ability to share my mobile phone is really, really handy. One other thing I'm going to show you here, I mentioned my teleprompter earlier on. If I have a teleprompter app, which I have here, then having this, the mobile phone sits in the teleprompter, and usually it would be in mirror writing. I hope you can see it in the right way around there. But with the teleprompter off, this actually follows my words as I'm speaking. So if I was reading from the teleprompter and looking directly into the camera behind the teleprompter, then the text would automatically roll on at the right speed and hear what I'm saying and automatically move. If I stop, it stops. If I carry on, it carries on. So the ability to do that is one thing that I'm going to do a show on in the next few weeks, where we're looking specifically at teleprompter apps, and the best way to have that done for the very least money possible. I should say the teleprompter that I have, I think it cost me £40 on eBay, and the app itself I think was £15. Definitely worth getting if you're going to be recording content to camera on a regular basis, where you want to have a set script or be reminded of what you're going to be talking about. Then having that content in there is absolutely essential. So let me just go back to my main camera here. So what we've looked at here are the hardware of the kind of kit that I use on a regular basis. There are more cameras, there are more headphones, there are more microphones, and so on. We don't need to get into all of those just now. But there are elements that I use on a regular basis that I will mix in to make sure that whatever show I'm putting together, either for me or for clients, is going to be as good as it can be. One thing that I should mention while we're on Crowdcast is web platforms. We are obviously on Crowdcast. Crowdcast is our channel of choice. We know that there are many others out there. There are lots of specific use platforms that are used for conferences, events. People use Zoom for all sorts of things. Zoom is a kind of catch-all product. It's perfect for some, but really not ideal for others. And there are lots of other products out there that we test and try and experiment with on a regular basis. Or clients that we're working with are already using that platform, so we'll get into that and work out the very best way possible of using that. So that could be there's a website called Hopin, there's NewStub, there's a number of others out there. So in terms of platforms, there's lots to play with. Right now, one of the, and I'm going to share my screen just now if I can just do that. Let me just move this over here. If I, give me a second, I'm going to share my main screen here. See how that looks. And on Manycam. So you should be seeing me on screen at the same time here. I know I'm down in the corner, but let's not worry about that. So with me over here, this is another feature of Manycam where I can be floating around the screen. The idealist that I was talking about earlier on, these are they. But before we go back to those, I'm going to talk about platforms. As I say, we mentioned Zoom earlier on. Zoom is terrific, but one of the key platforms that I use for streaming my content from Crowdcast, beyond Crowdcast to go out to other channels, is Restream. On Restream, you can see actually in the top right hand corner, the content is coming into Restream from Crowdcast. I'll just move this down here. So the content is coming into Restream from Crowdcast. You'll see that there's a bit of a lag on that because it's going through all the servers and doing what it does. These on the left hand side are in fact, if I just get my pencil. So these here are the channels that I'm sending the content to. So if you were looking at this show on any of these channels, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Periscope, which of course is Twitter, then you'd be seeing them on these channels. I'll just clear that off. Again, one of the tools that I'm using here is Manycam, which allows me to do this and draw on the screen. The videos that I often use at the beginning of shows, I normally build them in a website called Videos. So on Videos, as you can see here, I can use these templates, or indeed any of the templates. If we go back to these are templates that I can use where I can plumb in the logos of clients. I can generate any number of formats of videos. Here's one for Christmas. Here's one with a man with a t-shirt in the front. And by dropping in a logo, I can create little video stingers that I might use for example, for the NORAs last year for the awards. I created the awards logos from, let me just see if we go to the favorites here. Come on, it's going a bit slow. So from these, I would use these to generate the award stingers and drop in the logos of sponsors, the logos of the companies who were winning. I think this is going a bit on the slow side, so let's not worry about that. There we go. And of course, some of the ones I used most recently to make Christmas videos. There's always new topical ones coming around that you can use. I mentioned Manycam. I would count Manycam as a platform as well as a software tool. It knits between the platforms such as Crowdcast and of course your technology itself. So on Manycam, you can see here on the prices side of things, you can see the types of packages that you can have to get the content, that get the facilities that you're looking for. The standard product is obviously pretty cheap. I would absolutely recommend this. If you buy this on the studio package on a month-to-month basis, or on an annual basis, they very quickly will make you an offer to get the lifetime deal. And I would definitely recommend going in for this if you can, as soon as you can. Again, as I say, the video intros that we spoke about, when you're editing content after having your show live, when you are downloading, for example, from Crowdcast, your show, you want to add an intro and an outro and maybe edit some of the content in between, or you want to add text onto the show, perhaps underneath the names of the people who you are interviewing on the show, then the product that I use mostly would be Camtasia. So Camtasia, you can see here, I can scrub along this. This is a little intro video that I made for a company. It was actually Cornwall, carbon neutral Cornwall rather. It says 2030. 2030 is the target date by which they want to have achieved carbon neutral Cornwall, but the event was in September last year. So in creating this video here, I did it in videos, then I can edit the videos in Camtasia to make that happen. Other tools that you might want to use, of course, would be the likes of Photoshop, which I use to make the show image for this show here. And of course, there are free versions of video editors such as this one here. Just make this a little bit larger. So this is KDen Live. If you want to look up KDen Live, it's KDEN Live, and I would absolutely recommend that. It's good, it's free, it comes very highly recommended. Here's the website here, in fact, if you want to look it up. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I'm just noticing the time that we've gotten up to so far. Bear with me a second, I'm just going to... There we go. Switch this off. There we go. Now, let me just double check while we're here. Do we have any questions? Are there any issues? Halftime Institute is asking, are there any issues with combining Manycam with hardware like Atom Mini Stream Deck in Crowdcast? The Elgato Stream Deck and the Atom Mini, someone was just asking yesterday on Manycam about being able to program the buttons for that. So for the different scenes that you would have in Manycam, switching from one to the other, they don't have hotkeys as yet. So at the minute, I'm doing it all on screen. So there aren't the hotkey buttons that you can press to go from one to the other. You can use those with OBS. You can use those with Ecamm, and I imagine there are other products out there that you're able to. But as far as I've been able to work out, and I don't have one of these Stream Decks or Etam Minis, but I'm planning on getting my hands on one, and once I've got it and tested it, I'll be able to let you know for sure. So thank you very much for your question. Halftime Institute. I'm guessing that's something sports related. Next question, Halftime Institute again also asks, my guests always seem to struggle logging into Crowdcast. Most of the issues are usually related to accessing the camera and mic. Would you recommend a workflow for resolving access to cameras and mics with remote guests? Absolutely. First of all, on the screen that you're looking at just now, on the bottom down here, there should be a link which says Get Audio Video Help. That is your biggest friend when looking to have guests confirm that they are able to connect their microphone and camera. The best thing, first of all, is to use Chrome. Chrome is highly recommended. It will work on other browsers, but there can be patchiness when you go on some of the less used browsers. I know for certain that it works on Microsoft Edge. There are Chrome clones out there. For example, I also use Komodo Dragon, and it works fine on that. But your regular Chrome clone Google Chrome is the best platform to use. So in terms of getting ready before a show, I always run a tech check. Always run a tech check. Get your guests on screen beforehand in the same URL that you're going to be having your event on. Go in the green room with them and invite them on screen. All they need to do is type in the chat bar. From there, you can invite them on screen. Ask them before that to have gone through the Get Audio Video Help to make sure that their webcam is connecting. They can also run a speed test on their broadband to make sure that they're up to speed. Never, ever, ever, or unless if you're taking your life in your hands, if you do, but never, ever, if you can avoid it, bring people on screen who haven't checked before, because you're asking for trouble. Even if people are regularly going on other platforms such as Zoom or Teams, you can't be absolutely sure that they're going to be picked up, or that their microphone and webcam are going to be picked up properly for your show. And what you don't want is for them to be mucking about trying to get it right in the middle of your show. So always prep people in advance, always get people ready. It doesn't take long to do, a few minutes. And when running a tech check with guests, it's also a great time to run through the format of the show, the sort of questions you're going to be asking them, answer any other technical questions that they have, and make sure that they know the URL they've to be at, when they need to be there, and how they need to flag themselves so that they're available to come on screen, either before the show starts or in the middle of the show. I hope that answers your question, Halftime Institute. Do we have any other questions? Louise, Debbie, anything else you would like to ask? I know that was a pretty fast run through of an awful lot of technology, and some of those maybe won't make as much sense as I might hope that they will, but in the shows that are going to be coming up, I'm going to be digging into them in much more detail. I will be doing a show specifically on Minicam. Obviously, I'm a big Minicam fan, which is great. A lot of the things that I've been doing here with Minicam are kind of showcasing what it does. One of the things I didn't show you, I'll just show you this as a quick for example. So if I was giving a presentation and wanted it on a transparent background just here, then I could be having this. So this is a PowerPoint. If I want to show this, it's a PowerPoint with video embedded in the PowerPoint, which is crazier than crazy. But if I want to run through my presentation and be at the side of the screen while that's running through, so if I'm giving a bit of training, if I want videos to be playing live while I'm in the middle of it, then all of these things can be done. But we'll save that for the Minicam show itself. Right now, what we're doing is essentially giving that overture to all of the things that are going to be coming up, where we're going to be talking about the hardware, we're going to be talking about the software, we'll talk about the platforms, we'll talk about some of the middleware that connects one thing to another, and that's kind of vague area. But with all of these types of technologies, sometimes the tech doesn't talk to each other in the way that you would want it to. So those things that join one thing to another to enable that to happen. So for example, when I want this show to go out on LinkedIn Live, I can't stream directly to LinkedIn Live. I'm streaming from here to Restream, which in turn distributes that out to multiple locations, including LinkedIn Live. So with that said, I think we've just come up to the half-hour mark. If there are any questions, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Anyone? Say hi in the chat bar just to let me know that you're here, that you're listening. If not, then I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. It's been a busy half hour. There are going to be more busy half hours, but each time we do a show in future, there won't be so much to show, because what I'll be doing is digging into individual components in much more detail. So with that, thank you very much for joining me. It's been my pleasure. Hi, Debbie. And I will see you, if not next week, then the following week. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks then. Bye-bye.